NHL Historic Draft, Simulation number 5. In this episode, I will have a major makeover of the rosters and then simulate 3 seasons using the rosters. For the Scramble Draft, every team has to give up a key forward and defenseman and make them eligible for the draft. The draft order is determined by a random number generator and will be a snake format. NHL Historic Scramble Draft 5. Dallas Stars draft Austin Matthews and Alex Pietrangelo. Chicago Blackhawks draft Mark Recchi and Pierre Pilot. Buffalo Sabres draft Frank Mahovlich and Scott Stevens. Philadelphia Flyers draft Anze Kopitar and Andrei Markov. LA Kings draft Patrick Elias and Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Winnipeg Jets draft Daryl Sittler and Sergei Gonchar. Vancouver Canucks draft Doug Gilmour and Cale Makar. Hartford Whalers draft Theo Fleury and Guy Lapointe. New York Islanders draft Glenn Anderson and Gary Suter. Edmonton Oilers draft Alex Davecchio and Red Kelly. St. Louis Blues draft Alex Mogilny and Paul Reinhart. Pittsburgh Penguins draft Claude Giroux and Thomas Cabral. Calgary Flames draft Dave Andreychuk and Ron Greshner. Detroit Red Wings draft Braden Point and Bill Gatsby. Montreal Canadiens draft Jack Eichel and Sandis Oslich. Washington Capitals draft John McClain and Ivan Provorov. New York Rangers draft Mitch Marner and Daryl Sador. New Jersey Devils draft Evgeny Kuznetsov and Jacob Slavin. Colorado Avalanche draft Tyler Seguin and Kevin Hatcher. Toronto Maple Leafs draft Slava Kozlov and Terry Howell. And the Boston Bruins draft Ziggy Palffy and Tyson Barrie. After the draft, a few trades are made. Boston Bruins trade Nicholas Backstrom, Dan Boyle, and Frank Grimsick to the LA Kings for Henry Richard, Ed Belfour, and Alex Edler. Chicago Blackhawks trade Dave Taylor, Charlie Simmer, and George Armstrong to the Winnipeg Jets for Rick Tocchet, Brad Richards, and Dale Hunter. Colorado Avalanche trade Gary Unger, Mike Richter, and Kevin Stevens to the Toronto Maple Leafs for Bernie Nicholls, Danny Heatley, and Mike Vernon. New Jersey Devils trade Marc-Andre Fleury, Bill Cook, and Andy Green to the Calgary Flames for Andy Bathgate, Ron Stackhouse, and Thomas Bocoon. The changes made in the draft will have a major effect on the upcoming simulation. In first place in the Clarence Campbell Conference are the Colorado Avalanche, followed by the Winnipeg Jets, St. Louis Blues, Chicago Blackhawks, Calgary Flames, Edmonton Oilers, Dallas Stars, and Vancouver Canucks. Missing the playoffs in the Clarence Campbell Conference are the Detroit Red Wings and LA Kings. In first place in the Prince of Wales Conference are the Hartford Whalers, followed by the New York Islanders, Washington Capitals, Pittsburgh Penguins, Montreal Canadiens, New Jersey Devils, Philadelphia Flyers, and Buffalo Sabres. Missing the playoffs in the Prince of Wales Conference are the Toronto Maple Leafs, Boston Bruins, and New York Rangers. The Winnipeg Jets beat the Montreal Canadiens in 6 games to win the Stanley Cup. After the season, a couple trades are made. The Boston Bruins trade Tony Esposito, Milan Hajduk, and Brooks Orpik to the St. Louis Blues for Jaromir Jagr, Chris Osgood, and Nicholas Kronwall. Detroit Red Wings trade Taylor Hall, Adam Foote, and Pitt Martin to the Toronto Maple Leafs for Doug Bentley, Joe Primo, and Red Horner. LA Kings trade Henrik Zetterberg, Marty Turco, and Ryan O'Reilly to the Philadelphia Flyers for Artemi Panarin, Reggie Bacon, and Sean Couturier. New York Rangers trade Joe Thornton, Pekka Rinne, and Butch Goring to the Washington Capitals for Dave Keon, Curtis Joseph, and Sid Abel. The changes in the offseason will have a major effect on the next simulation. In first place in the Clarence Campbell Conference are the Colorado Avalanche, followed by the Winnipeg Jets, Chicago Blackhawks, Calgary Flames, St. Louis Blues, Dallas Stars, Edmonton Oilers, and LA Kings. Missing the playoffs in the Clarence Campbell Conference are the Vancouver Canucks and Detroit Red Wings. In first place in the Prince of Wales Conference are the Hartford Whalers, followed by the New York Islanders, Washington Capitals, Montreal Canadiens, Pittsburgh Penguins, Philadelphia Flyers, Buffalo Sabres, and Toronto Maple Leafs. Missing the playoffs in the Prince of Wales Conference are the New Jersey Devils, Boston Bruins, and New York Rangers. The Colorado Avalanche win the Stanley Cup in 6 games over the Hartford Whalers. After the season, a few trades are made. Boston Bruins trade Ilya Kovalchuk, Eric Stahl, and Marcel Provenost to the St. Louis Blues for Patrick Marleau, Dick Clapper, and Dean Prentice. Detroit Red Wings trade Marian Hossa, Dickie Moore, and Elmer Lack to the Winnipeg Jets for Patrick Kane, Norm Ullman, and Johnny Gaudreau. New Jersey Devils trade Pierre Turgeon, Tuukka Rask, and Dion Phaneuf to the Dallas Stars for Dale Hawerchuk, Billy Smith, and James Patrick. New York Rangers trade Steve Thomas, Ed Jovanovski, and Bill Durham to the Pittsburgh Penguins for Roberto Luongo, Rick Martin, and Randy Carlyle. Vancouver Canucks trade Keith Tkachuk, Yuri Lehtinen, and King Clancy to the New York Islanders for Eric Desjardins, John Tonelli, and Bob Nystrom. The changes in the offseason will have a major effect on the next simulation. In first place in the Clarence Campbell Conference are the Colorado Avalanche, followed by the Winnipeg Jets, Vancouver Canucks, Detroit Red Wings, Chicago Blackhawks, Dallas Stars, St. Louis Blues, and Calgary Flames. Missing the playoffs in the Clarence Campbell Conference are the LA Kings and Edmonton Oilers. In first place in the Prince of Wales Conference are the Hartford Whalers, followed by the New York Islanders, Pittsburgh Penguins, Philadelphia Flyers, Montreal Canadiens, Toronto Maple Leafs, Buffalo Sabres, and New Jersey Devils. Missing the playoffs in the Prince of Wales Conference are the Washington Capitals, New York Rangers, and Boston Bruins. The New York Islanders beat the Colorado Avalanche in 6 games to win the Stanley Cup. In the next simulation of this mini-series, I simulate another 3 seasons using these rosters.